You are now entering the memory mortuary, where your childhood is reflected, bisected, and dissected before being laid to rest. So let's see what's on the slab for our morticians today on this episode of the Memory Mortuary.
Here at the Memory Mortuary, we are not embalming actual bodies. Instead, we deal with aspects of your childhood. That is, if you are in your mid to late 20s. In every episode, morticians Andreas and Gabe will examine the remains of a piece of pop culture from the late 90s or early 2000s, explain what it was, what memories they have of it, determine how it died, and pay their final respects. Please keep in mind, this broadcast was recorded in the midst of a pandemic, so audio between our morticians may not be of the usual quality, as they speak via tin cans and a 5-mile-long string. So please remove your hats and bust out your black veils as you pay our morticians a visit.
All right, Gabe. What's on the slab for us today? What's the toe tag say?
Okay, let me take a look here. It's, oh boy.
What? What is it?
Well, my ancient Egyptian is a little rusty. Or is this ancient Japanese? You know, I'm not entirely sure what language this is, but this name once had great power.
That's great. Can you just tell me what it is we're looking at here?
I guess I'll give it a try. I think it's pronounced...
This looks like a cadaver if I've ever seen one.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about what Yu-Gi-Oh! Was, right? Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a Japanese trading card game created by Konami in 1989, but we are Americans, so we're going to be talking about the American release of this, and the epitaph for this one will read the American release date, which was March 2002 in North America. That's when the trading card game first hit, so this is very much a 2002 memory in this mortuary for me. A little fun fact, it was named the top selling trading card game in the world by Guinness World Records in July 7th. 2009.
Wow.
Read that from Wikipedia. Yeah, I never actually would have thought it, but I guess it did kind of. That also seems too late. Don't you feel like
yeah,
too late?
that's a lot of years later. And
Yeah, I'd imagine they'd have to like unbury it to like give it the Guinness World Record. Like
I would understand maybe 2004. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Or whenever the movie came out.
I think that was 2004, maybe.
2004, 2005. Either way, 2009 seems incredibly late.
Yeah, that seems a little late. I mean, I certainly stopped giving a shit by then, but
Same. Yeah.
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 The primary memories that I have of Yu-Gi-Oh! Exist from about 2002, 2003. I know that I went a little beyond the first 6 sets, but for me, anything after those first 6 sets, I'm not going to remember much. It's all sort of a blur to me. So I primarily focus on the first 6 sets, which in order, in 2002, there were 4 sets because they banged these things out.
I believe the reason for that was because they had already released them in Japan, so
Yes.
it was, you know, it was pretty easy to move quickly, and considering the market where things come and go pretty rapidly, it was probably to their benefit doing that. I mean,
I agree.
yeah. Today, I don't know the release patterns. I could only compare it to other card games and say that.
Well, believe it or not, I have the release patterns. Oh my god! This is an unsustainable business model if I've ever seen one. Okay, so in 2019, all right, in 2002, there were 4 sets released.
Okay.
In 2019, I want you to guess how many sets there were in 2019.
Well,
there were 4 in the first year the set came out. Last year, well over 15 years after this thing has hit its highest point.
Yeah.
How many sets do you think came out in 2019?
Well, I'm going to compare it to other card games, and
Okay.
one other I know maybe releases 4 to 6 a year. Sometimes it feels even less. Now,
Yeah.
it could be more than 4 or less, but the thing is, this is a strange card game that has probably outlived its time.
Mhm.
So it's hard to say. But I'm going to have to go with more than 4, and I'm going to say something crazy like 12.
11.
11! Oh, okay! Wow!
I'm surprised that you went as far as to say 12 because if the tables were turned, I would not have set a number that large. This is insane.
I believe my reasoning for that is, I believe I know, my reasoning for that is, the fact that the only way these card games can live now, at least in their own market, and try to avoid scalping and reselling, they have to keep pumping out new cards, new things, keep the game fresh, and also for the collectors. So I figured, yeah, they're probably releasing a lot, to the point where it's just nauseating. Um, 11 is too much. 4, well,
Well, four I think is fine. You get one per
four,
season.
yeah, one per season. That's exactly what I was thinking. But
You get
here's
one
another.
one in the winter, one in the spring, and you get to associate those sets with that time of the year. At least that's how it was for me. Like when I think of the second Yu-Gi-Oh set ever made, I think of early summer at the end of the school year because if I remember right, that's roughly when it came out or when it at least came to our local stores to be purchased.
Yeah, yeah.
So I start associating, and like the fourth set, I think more of like October, fall time period. At least that's when I was getting those cards.
I agree with you that one for each season's nice, but the main question here is these new sets. How many cards are in them, and compared to the original 4? Because
Okay.
there's no way in hell they're as big as they were back then.
Well, let's read off the original 6 sets.
Okay.
In 2002, we had Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon, which would have been the very first Yu-Gi-Oh set to hit. The following set was Metal Raiders. Then Magic Ruler, Pharaoh's Servant would have closed off 2002. Then going into 2003, we had Labyrinth of Nightmare and Legacy of Darkness. There were a couple others in that year, 3 others in 2003. Pharaonic Guardian, Magician's Force, Dark Crisis. I'm not going to talk about any of those 3 because personally, I just don't remember them. And if this is a memory mortuary, the memories are what matter here.
That's true. That's true. It's not about the sales or sustainability.
Now, to answer your question, so let's take a look, actually, right? So I'm just going to trust this website, and it's telling me that there were 126 cards in the very first set of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm going to grab a random set from 2019. Let's go with this thing that's called Mystic Fighters. 60 cards.
60 cards. All right.
So perhaps these sets are half the size.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really going to bother to look at any more because the cadaver's already been cut open. We've started the autopsy. It looks like there's been organ failure, but who's to say which organ it was? Let's just keep on with our autopsy here and our assessment of the cadaver. Now, what's a memory that you might have in regards to our beloved deceased?
A memory. Wow. Well, I mean, I'd have to give it up to the cartoon show. I think that's what helped boost this card game as well.
Okay, the animated
Yeah,
series.
the anime was amazing because at the time it was very different for a card game aimed towards kids. I think that's why everybody gravitated towards it because it was dark and edgy. But my memories of it were always the show, the absurd cards, rules, effects, the uniqueness of certain, like the anime is what gave some of these cards their popularity, such as Dark Magician, Blue Eyes White Dragon. I mean, those were, at least Blue Eyes was quite obviously going to become a hit because it's a dragon. And
with blue eyes.
Yes, with blue eyes. And eventually they said, "Wow, how can we make this cooler?" And they were like, "Okay, well, what if we made it 3 heads?" And it worked. It was cool.
And it did work. And here's something funny about the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. When I look back, first let me admit something, and that is that I have a fairly cherished, bindered, well-kept, incredibly organized collection of Yu-Gi-Oh cards from the first 6 sets. It sits in a single binder, and I don't attempt to collect decks or sets or whatever it is, but really what I did was before I got rid of all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards from my childhood, I kept one of everything, and I organized them by their actual set and then their set number. So every card would have something like a little LOB would stand for Legend of Blue Eyes. That would be in the corner under the art. And then beside it, it would have a 000 or a 001, 002, so on and so forth. And I have a set organized in that way, a collection organized in that way. And what I also have are certain pages dedicated to special release cards. Things that were released roughly around the time period that I would have cared. So 2002, 2003, 2004 is really pushing it. Like I might have cared a little bit to have gotten a pack or someone, a relative may have bought me something with Yu-Gi-Oh on it because they might have thought that I was still interested. But with that being said, something that I realized when putting that collection together before getting rid of all the excess bulk of it was that the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon didn't get a US release until much later than I would have thought. But then when I went back into those memories and I jumped in, delved in, started swimming around in them, I realized that I did spend much of my childhood desiring, wanting, dreaming about a specific Yu-Gi-Oh card that I would not get. And that was impossible to obtain. I'm looking it up now. The first time the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon was released in the US was within a copy of Shonen Jump.
Yes, I completely believe that. Like that sounds accurate. I know that there was one of those larger sets, the ones that are around $40, something like that, or the price range around there. And I knew that was one way to get that, but actually I don't think it was Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. I think it was the one with the rider on it as well.
Yes, the one with the knight or however, yeah.
Yeah.
I have it here just to confirm that the first North American appearance of the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon would have been in Shonen Jump Volume 4, Issue 1 in January 1st, 2006.
You know, it's quite amazing that it seems like Yu-Gi-Oh went alongside with Shonen Jump if it was around that early in the U.S., which is I don't know if Shonen Jump is still around in the U.S.
So Shonen Jump was really big at the time because as like an avid, like hungry collector of these things from 2002 to 2000, like it was a year and a half of just being absolutely obsessed as a kid. I did not care about 90% of what was in copies of Shonen Jump, but I was still buying a copy or asking my parents for a copy every month. I don't even think they had monthly releases, though, to be quite honest. I believe it was more sporadic than that. But every time there was a new one in it might have been a Borders, but I actually think it was before that. There used to be a bookstore in the mall that's around us. That is, I have a lot of memories going there, but I used to go in there every time that we were in the mall and very quickly check the magazine rack to see if there was a new issue of Shonen Jump, because when Yu-Gi-Oh started in 2002, every North American release of Shonen Jump had a card tucked in there.
Yes, I cannot. I don't remember the time period entirely, but this was, I'm going to say 2014, 2013. Okay. I'm going to say 2013. I there was a new God card. It was just remakes of the old ones. It was a new Winged Dragon of Ra, and they were putting.
Yes, I was there with you.
You were there? Oh, okay. It's been so long.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ended up getting that one, right?
Yes, yeah, the Winged Dragon of Ra from the Shonen Jump magazine, and it's
Yeah, just on a whim, we were just kind of. I think we were in like a
Walmart. I'm pretty sure.
I think it was a Walmart. I was gonna say Target, but yeah, I think it was a Walmart.
Yeah,
I think we were.
Feels
We
like
were in a Walmart, and we saw one of the magazines we didn't even know it was still running. Now, I have a very, very, very specific memory of Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon and obtaining that card, and its ultimate demise in my
washing machine.
No, it wasn't my washing machine. It did get water damaged because in my old home, because this was the time period where I had stopped really caring about Yu-Gi-Oh, I had put it in the basement, and I had kept it, I don't know, maybe about 1.5 feet off the ground on like a big rack of toolboxes and various other items. And I thought to myself, it's high enough. There's no way that there's going to get any water damage on that.
Of course.
And then one day we got about 3 feet of water in the basement, and that was it. I mean, most of my collection was in absolute ruins after that. And so, luckily, though, I had another secondary collection, which saved a bunch of them. And then I also had kept a couple of them. They were upstairs somewhere, but I had to scrap together what I had. Regardless, I lost the original Blue Eyes Ultimate, but my memory, not of its death, I know this is a mortuary, and we talk a lot about death, but the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon entering my life was walking into that bookstore, not thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh, not having thought about Yu-Gi-Oh in years, and going into the magazine section and seeing just Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon little advertisement on the cover of Shonen Jump, and immediately thinking to myself, oh my god, the quest has ended. And that felt like the perfect way to say, you know what, I'm gonna buy this magazine, I'm gonna get this magazine, I'm gonna get this card, I'm gonna put it with the rest of the collection right on top, and gonna feel complete and walk away from the whole thing for the rest of my life. And now I'm doing a fucking podcast on it, so I guess it never really ends, does it, huh?
Yeah.
No, nothing ever really dies.
Yeah. It's all back, baby.
Except this is pretty much smelling up the whole joint.
Oh yeah. I think the cards really do or had such an impact on a lot of us as kids who've played it, and I think really all of us probably have a Blue Eyes White Dragon memory or a Dark Magician memory, because mine are I have many memories of the card game as well that suddenly flooding back to me like as I talk about this. I only had one Blue Eyes card, and I wanted more because as kids you always want more. I don't know how this got here, but one day I was throwing out the trash, and I was going out back. This was long ago. I don't remember how old I was, but I was definitely under 10 at the time. And I went to go throw out the trash, and I believe either I was taking the trash out from the trash bag out of the bin. I don't know why. I think I was putting into another one, but whatever. I ended up finding a Blue Eyes White Dragon card all the way at the bottom, and thankfully this wasn't a rainy day, and there wasn't any liquid in the bag, so it wasn't really stained or damaged at all. And I was like, oh my god,
I had to stick your hand past the maggots.
Yes, I just had to kind of, I nearly fell into it, as I remember, because my arms were not long enough to reach into it, so I had to tilt I had to drop it down on the ground, and I ended up grabbing it, and I kept it.
Was this in Brazil?
No, this was don't worry, it was close enough. It was in New York.
Okay.
So I think my second one I ever got, I don't know how it got there. It was in an apartment, not an apartment, but a home that had two people living, two residents, and I don't recall if they had someone, that was young or into any of that stuff, or it could have been my brother, but it seems a little strange too. But I
have almost a mythical story about the Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Yeah, I have.
This is almost like it should be in the show, like some poor down and out kid living in a multi-family home in New York, just dreaming of one day being a Yu-Gi-Oh all-star,
becoming the best duelist.
Yeah, then he goes to take out the trash, and the legendary Blue Eyes White Dragon is just sitting at the bottom.
Yep.
and his destiny has been fulfilled. I mean, that's your sword in the stone right there.
It's strange because it happened twice. Not in the trash, but there was another moment where I found another Blue Eyes White Dragon, but this
Okay.
one was in school. This was in the school that was only maybe 3 blocks away from where I found the other one in the trash can. I lived fairly close to my school, and I have had many memories of playing Yu-Gi-Oh in the playground, and they had these cinder blocks, sort of like these cemented kind of table things where kids would just sit, and I don't know, I guess they expected them to sit there and just eat lunch or something. I don't know, but
Okay.
I remember playing Yu-Gi-Oh on there, and I remember thinking, oh man, I have a lot of these fake cards that are, you peel them and it's a sticker.
Oh,
And
I had those as well.
of course, and in the
Where
backside,
did you get them from? Because
um,
there's
I
one place that had them that I got them from.
like
That is now dead.
like
So,
like most people, I would assume they got them from the quarter machine, where you put the
yep.
quarter, you push it in, and then you push it out, and then you get where you would get the tattoos and all those other crap. I mean, I've thinking of that now, I don't even know if they exist anymore. I've never seen any anywhere else.
The last time that I saw those, like that, I probably passed them all the time without even really noticing. But the last time that I saw them and took note was
At a
in
diner.
actually, okay. So diners always have.
Diners, yes, diners always have them.
Throwing
I thought
diners
about it.
aside, was Kmart. The Kmart that is closest to where we live. That's actually where I got all of my Yu-Gi-Oh sticker things, like those. They looked like cards.
Yeah, they
and when
look
you
just
went
like
up
them.
to the and when you went up to the coin machine, they had the stickers in as a preview, and they just looked like cards. And then
Yes.
you would get them, and you'd realize that they're like really
They're-
flimsy and fake
yeah.
and
Yeah,
off-brand.
you'd realize that it looks like the card, besides the shine glimmer of the
Yeah.
front, but the back of
And
it looks like the card.
It does, and I still have some of those left behind. I threw out a bunch of them, but I kept a few of my favorite art
Yeah.
just because,
I don't have any, sadly, anymore. But what I would do though with those was, obviously I take the sticker and I would put them. It was usually like somewhere in my room, on my door. I believe I put it on my headboard for my bed. I would
Okay.
decorate the whole thing with those stickers, and then I would keep the cards, the back of it. So it was a blank on the front, but had the backs of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And I remember, when I was playing on the playground, playing the Yu-Gi-Oh, I would go, okay, I have a card right here. This is this card right here. We're gonna play a game. If I lose this round, or this match, you can take this card. You can take whatever this card is, but I'm not gonna. You can't see what it is. I'm just gonna show you the backside. And so I would play games, and I wasn't the best at Yu-Gi-Oh. I had a loose grasp of the rules at times. There were
I
some.
think most kids did.
Yes, most of us did. There were many times where, it was just like the spell and the trap cards, the way some things were worded, and
And to anyone unfamiliar with the game, I know a lot of this might seem like jargon, but to anyone unfamiliar, Yu-Gi-Oh is a game that you could probably teach another person, at least when the game was released. You could probably teach another person how to play Yu-Gi-Oh in 35 seconds flat.
Yep.
Yet when you are a child, it is a lot like a Rubik's Cube. None of it makes sense. All the numbers have 5 digits. Nothing makes
Yes, it was very,
Yeah.
at the time, a bit confusing. But you didn't. A lot of us didn't really care. It was because the cards looked incredibly cool, and
at the time, yeah. And
compared to
marketing push was insane.
oh, yeah, the marketing push was insane. You found it everywhere, from McDonald's promotional stuff, the show. clothing, video games. It was everywhere, and it worked because everybody was into it. And
Yeah.
but I played this game and I would end up losing. I'd go, okay, you can have that card, and they'd flip it over and they go, hey, this is nothing. This is a fake card, and I say, oh, too bad. Those were rules later, and I would run off. It was I felt very clever for doing that, but it was a memory. There was plenty of memories of me playing Yu-Gi-Oh with others, making incredible, huge, large trades for things. I remember trading my cousin roughly 200 random cards, just for his what was he called? Not Exodia. The blue obelisk. The obelisk from the from the GX series.
Okay. So that's I'm going to say I am aware of what you're talking about, although I don't have any of those cards, but I'm aware of what you're talking about.
Yes.
And I couldn't tell you the name of that guy.
I've pulled it up. It is this really it? It's Obelisk the Tormentor.
Well, that was the original.
Yeah, that was the
God
original.
card.
Yeah, that was the original God card. The GX had a different because it just looked familiar right now to me because I pulled up the new one from when when me and you went to that Walmart and found the Shonen Jump. I actually now see what the new obelisk looks like, and it's actually very cool. This is a design that I love a lot. It looks great, but so it was one of those cards, and I still have it today. It's a bit damaged.
I looked it up for you. So, the guy I think you're talking about is Raviel, Lord of Phantasms.
Yeah, and
it's like you said it's like the GX.
It's the GX equivalent of the God cards, basically.
Yeah, they may have had a trio name of some kind.
Yeah, they are the Sacred Beasts.
Okay.
While the original are called the Divine Beast.
Okay.
So I traded quite a lot for that card, but my cousin wanted 200 cards of whatever, and I just wanted this guy because he looked badass. I still have the card with me. I think it's slightly damaged. Looking at the card now brings back quite a lot of memories and makes me really miss this card game, but seeing where it is today, I wouldn't be able to do it, these new rules.
Yeah, that's a whole different section of this podcast that we'll get into. But yes, what we are reminiscing about, we can both agree, and we're kind of jumping ahead of ourselves, but it's dead.
Yeah.
Like, what the game became is more like an offspring. It's more like a second or third generation down the line. The game's unrecognizable. So, yeah, there is no real jumping back into it. Kind of like if you disappear from Magic the Gathering for a decade, you can jump back in and the game still kind of looks the same. The same can't be said for Yu-Gi-Oh!, that's why I very much enjoy having the knowledge that I have this soul binder that is it is where the memories are encased. And if I want to go back and I want to open up that binder and just look at cards and just say, wow, I remember the guy that I traded for this card for. And he used to live on my block when I was a kid. I wonder where he is now. Right? Like, just every card has some sort of memory attached to it. It's more like a scrapbook than it is a collection. But I agree that I have no real desire to jump into the game as it is now. It's also not marketed for us.
No.
So that's not really to say that the game that exists now is bad. I'm not going to pass judgment on it. What we are doing in this autopsy is deciding whether or not the thing still exists as it was.
Well, that's tough to say since it's not marketed at us. The show is still ongoing. They continue to make new seasons, from what I've seen.
They're not following the same character, though, right?
No, they're not. I don't know the length of the original series. I can't say if it's longer than all of the others that have been released. As it slowly diminishes, and they're like, oh, we need different characters. They're not living up to the hype. They clearly have done nostalgia pandering, where they have had movies, specials where they bring back the original cast of characters, and
Okay.
they made a movie. I know I watched it years ago. This was at the time when I stopped I completely stopped caring about Yu-Gi-Oh, but this may have been 3 years after I stopped fully caring, and they came out with a movie. This was during maybe the height of the racing one, whatever that one was called, Yu-Gi-Oh 5. I don't know, 5G, Wi-Fi. What, I don't know what the fuck it was.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So I'm really familiar with the first two seasons because those would have been the seasons that I had watched. So the first season had 49 episodes, and that was all about Duelist Kingdom. To the uninitiated, the story is that this young kid who has inherited this ancient Egyptian puzzle box on his neck discovers that it contains the soul of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh, and there is another character who is a multi-trillionaire who owns his own island, who is the creator of the card game Duel Monsters, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! In our world. In their world, it's Duel Monsters. Duel Monsters is pretty much the currency of this world. Everything is decided with these cards. I'm pretty sure that if you went back in this world's history, entire wars were decided with these stupid cards. Now, the modernized version of the card game in this alternate world is created by a guy named Maximilian Pegasus. And what he does is he plays a little Willy Wonka and sends a bunch of videotapes, literal VHS tapes, to a bunch of people who are supposed to be some of the greatest in the world. And he invites them to the island to compete, and the winner gets to face him and call themselves the world champion. Little to everyone's knowledge, the main character, the villainous Maximilian Pegasus, he has set a trap. What he wants to do is get this puzzle off the neck of our main hero, who is named Yugi. That doesn't even summarize all of it, but that's generally what the first season is.
I mean, you also can't forget Yugi's ancient pharaoh side that unlocks with his giant medallion, which is Yami Yugi.
Yes, so the puzzle on his neck, this huge medallion, has the pharaoh's soul in it, and whenever Yugi is in danger... Now, I did a rewatch last year. My brother and I, we started to have card game nights, Magic the Gathering. Every once in a while, we actually played some poker. But we'd have a couple friends over, and we would be playing this game. And we would throw things on the TV. And for a while, we were throwing movies on. We had, the Jurassic Parks. We went through all the Jurassic Parks in the background. But inevitably, we said, hey, why don't we just rewatch Yu-Gi-Oh? So we threw it on, and something that I thought was so interesting was that the pharaoh's soul, when it takes over the main character of the boy or whatever, it doesn't just take him over whenever he's about to start a card game. It takes him over whenever he's in danger in general. So I think that's kind of cool that, I like to imagine that, if Yugi was to have gotten in a fight with another kid and the kid went and punched him in the face, he'd hit the ground as 4 foot tall and he'd come up as a 5.5 foot tall. I wanted to ask, give me your top 5. Your top 5 favorite cards that you remember, that you have a lot of connections to. If you were to see the art for that card right now, it would spark joy.
Uh-huh.
Now,
What sparks joy for me?
yeah, which 5 Yu-Gi-Oh cards would you say,
5.
like, if you could only keep 5 that would spark you joy, what would they be? I've got my 5 here. I've got
Well-
my number 1. I have always had my number 1.
Well, number 1 will have to be Relinquished, which came from
Okay.
Pegasus's deck. It was
The starter deck.
from his starter deck.
Mhm.
Because it was one of the it was the first starter deck I got as a gift, and it holds a very special place in my heart that I still have the card today.
It also would have been released in the set Magic Ruler, which would have been released, would have coincided with the starter decks. If I remember right, the starter decks were always released about a month before the main set. So although Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon is the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the way we consider it, the starter decks, Yugi and Kaiba starter decks, if I remember right, came out about a month beforehand to get people into the game before the main sets came out. So you've got
Relinquished, Blue Eyes, obviously, Dark Magician, obviously. I guess another one would be Karibo. I had one of these cards. I had the GX version, which was the Winged Karibo, which was a bit absurd in design. I wish I still had the toy for it, but it was chewed up by my dog ages ago. I think I only have one wing left. Not even the Karibo and his armor and the other giant wings it had. And my 5th one, Summoned Skull. Summoned Skull was a classic in the anime.
If you were a male child during that time and you were into Yu-Gi-Oh, you knew who Summoned Skull was. With that being said, as a young kid, we never really gave any thought to the names on the cards. We just accepted that these were the names of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Summon Skull to this day is one of the stupidest names.
It is a
because
very
it
bad
literally
name.
just means summon Skull. Like,
Yes.
And one of the reasons that Yu-Gi-Oh names are terrible is because they're translated from the Japanese without really any thought given to it.
Yeah.
Some of them work.
Actually, I have it here. My Japanese is a bit rusty, but the first word is Damon. Damon no Shokan. I don't know what Shokan is. Damon, I don't know if they're trying to say it's. They could have clearly wrote demon. So Damon, I don't know if that's something. Again, back in the original series, some of the cards did have a focus on Egyptian mythology sort of stuff. So I don't know about this Damon thing, but yeah, it's clearly not a word-for-word translation of the card name. So Summoned Skull is, I thought it was a terrible name as well.
Now, we are remembering Yu-Gi-Oh fairly fondly right now. Pretty soon, we're going to have to dig deeper into the cadaver here, and we're going to have to look at the parts that have festered. And the fact that this is a game that was trying to push a theme and then gave up before walking out of the gate. I mean, it's like in the advertisements, on the packs, on everything, they are trying to sell to you that this was an ancient Egyptian card game brought to you in the modern day, which when it was played, it wasn't cards, it was done through magic or whatever, but they've been brought to you as a kid in a card format. These are ancient Egyptian monsters.
See,
with that being said, there is a slot machine as a monster in the second set.
Yes, I don't...
Just a big old slot machine monster.
I think that was just supposed to be the backdrop for the story. It was, they didn't care. They didn't care at all.
And some of the cards fit. So the Dark Magician, okay, I could imagine some sort of dark warlock during the ancient times. A giant dragon, great, that fits. Summoned Skull, being some sort of Egyptian pharaoh creature summoned from the dead or something like that. Like, a lot of these, I can imagine them within the context. But slot machine or like a dragon with a revolver for a head, and this isn't new stuff. This is all from the first 6 sets.
Yeah.
It was complete lunacy right out of the gate. I'm going to work from 5 up.
Okay.
So if I had to pick 5, number 5 would go to the biggest 5 of all 5s, and it would be the 5-headed dragon.
The 5-headed dragon?
You're not laughing.
It
was a pun.
Oh.
Number 5 is a 5, but it actually is a 5-headed dragon. Thanks for not laughing.
What? But because I couldn't tell if this was a real card or not. Five-headed.
It is. So five-headed dragon.
It's called Five-Headed Dragon.
Five-headed dragon. Now, this is one of those cards that's going to slip out of the 2003 range. And the only reason for it being on my list is it was another card like Blue Eyes Ultimate that I would, if you look in my old, childhood notebooks, you would see drawings of this character. You would see little sketches, me trying to sketch the character. I printed out images of the card in Japanese, just really, really, really wanted this card. And it just wouldn't freaking come out. They just wouldn't release it in the US. Eventually, when it was released, I jumped on top of it. I immediately got myself a copy. So I have a fond memory of this card, but really never owned it until much later.
I can see it came out in 2006.
Now, before that, I did end up getting my hands on a Japanese copy, which I have since lost to the flood. But it was one of my absolute favorite cards. It shows up in the first season, in the series finale, in the season finale. In the epilogue, the final confrontation they have is against the five-headed dragon, and that would be number 5, five-headed dragon, pun intended. Number 4 is going to go to Blue Eyes White Dragon, specifically the art from the starter deck, not the art from Legend of Blue Eyes. The one that you could pull in the Legend of Blue Eyes packs has this really twisted kind of neck.
Oh, this one. Yes, I have this one.
Yes.
That one is great. It's very menacing looking.
But that one is not the one that I'm choosing.
Okay.
I'm choosing the classic art.
Oh, yes, the classic art is much better because it's
much better. And I'm not saying this should happen to anybody else. I'm not saying that anyone else should feel this way. But when I look at that card, I feel joy is sparked. Like, I can't help but look at that card and get a flood of memories of, like, warm spring and like going outdoors, knowing that the school year had just ended and sitting around with a bunch of friends on the pavement playing this card game and just being so excited. I mean, it gives me chills. This one card gives me chills. It's amazing. Now, I did end up getting the one from, it was quite easy to get the one from the starter deck. All you had to do was buy a starter deck.
Yes.
And if you wanted 3, you had to buy 3 starter decks. Those starter decks were also singleton to begin with, so they only had single copies of every card in them. So if you wanted 3 copies of any card, you just had to buy the starter deck 3 times. So I did end up getting the one from the packs, which was much more expensive and much rarer. It's card 001 of the set. But that old original art, that one from the starter deck is just so much more, I don't know, just warmer.
It is nice looking, though.
There's something kind of quaint about the starter deck art. And it's the fact that it looks like a drawing. It looks like it's done in a style. It
has a lovely style. The background of the card is very simple, so it sticks out. It's the colors. That's what really makes it.
It's the colors. This is kind of quaint. Look at him. He's got the little arms and his wings. His wings look flat. Yeah. His wings have no depth.
Yeah.
My choice for number 3 is going to be the Serpent Night Dragon.
Serpent Night Dragon. Wow, this is a strange choice.
I absolutely love this card. This was a card that I was hunting because, let's get back into the memories here. It is a memory mortuary. Back at that time in the early 2000s, there were magazines dedicated to pricing trading cards. They were called Beckett's. So you'd have a Beckett for Pokemon, a Beckett for Yu-Gi-Oh!, a Beckett for baseball cards. And really, before the internet was able to create all of these websites where you could go and buy cards individually, any card seller would need to have a Beckett to know roughly what the value of the card was in the selling and the reselling. I had a Yu-Gi-Oh! Beckett, and it had images of every card from the set. And at this point, there were only 2 sets out. There was Legend of Blue Eyes and Metal Raiders. Yeah, Legend of Blue Eyes, Metal Raiders. No, I'm sorry, Magic Ruler. It was the 3rd one. There were 3 sets out. And every time there was a new set, they'd have full images of what the cards looked like. Very high quality, so that you could say, like, okay, this is what the real card should look like. It was to help you avoid fakes.
Yes.
It was also spoiling any secret cards in the set. Now, as you know, the cards are always numbered from like it would be Magic Ruler would be MRL 001 all the way to MRL 102. There would have been 102 cards in the set, but there were technically 104 with a 000 secret card and a 103 secret card. Serpent Night Dragon was a 103 secret rare card from the third ever Yu-Gi-Oh set. And I saw it and I was just so freaking excited for this thing. I still have him to this day, and he survived the flood because I kept him in my Magic the Gathering deck boxes, and I was using him as a dragon token.
I wouldn't have expected it. It's got an interesting story, and it's a pretty nice card. You know, if I had known about that card as a kid, I think I would have liked it as well, because it's pretty neat design.
Here we go, number 2, which I should have made number 3 to keep the pun, but I just couldn't do it because this card means a little bit more to me. It's going to be the Tri-Horn Dragon.
Huh. This one is, yeah.
Here's why I love this card.
I gotta say, first off, you can from a distance, you probably wouldn't even be able to see the card. It'd just be a whole bunch of blue.
I have, again, Memory Mortuary. I have a memory where I was desperately trying to get myself a Blue Eyes White Dragon from the Legend of Blue Eyes set, which was the different art than the one from the starter deck. And I was hanging out with a bunch of friends, and they had gotten that card already, but they weren't going to trade theirs. And I'm cracking open a bunch of packs with them. I think I might have had 4 packs in front of me. And I'm cracking them open outside in the front of my house. Legend of Blue Eyes packs. I got nothing. And finally I get a Tri-Horn Dragon. And I look at it and I go, oh, I didn't even know this was in the set. Oh, this is kind of cool, but I was disappointed that it wasn't Blue Eyes. And then everyone around me is freaking out because I guess this was the secret rare of the set.
Yes, it is.
This was the 000 of the set. This was the secret rare. And here I am. Everyone's got their Blue Eyes White Dragons from the set, which is like the most sought after card. But the Tri-Horn Dragon, I come to find out, was even more valuable. And we pulled out the Beckett, and it was more expensive than the Blue Eyes. I couldn't tell you what the prices were, but I do remember that it was more valuable, and I felt kind of great about it because I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I was looking for a Blue Eyes, and I got something even cooler. And it's weird because like in the rules of the game, you're still sacrificing 2 creatures to play a dragon that is worse than Blue Eyes. It's 2850. I don't understand why it exists. Now I'm going to move on to my last one. My number 1, most favorite card in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! The only one that to this day, besides Blue Eyes, that I owned 3 copies of. And if I could, I would own 60 copies of it. I would line my walls with it. I would make an entire piece of furniture out of this card. If I could, I would put in my will. You know what? Actually, after this, I will put in my will that when I die, I want a copy of this card put into the breast pocket of whatever I'm wearing. When I'm going down in the dirt, I want this card in my pocket. All right, I want a wedding. I want my wedding ring. I want some sort of photos or something of children if I ever have them, and I want this card. I want the Legendary Fisherman to be buried with me.
Okay.
The Legendary Fisherman is the best shit on the face of the planet.
He is pretty cool.
I can't say enough about this card. First, I'll just start with, this is one of those cards that says, to hell with the Egyptian theme. We just want some surfer dude riding a whale. It's a killer whale, quite frankly, with giant, massive, sharp teeth.
Yep.
Like, my ultimate body goals are to look like the Legendary Fisherman. Like, I want to be as ripped and as tanned and as not afraid of the ocean as the Legendary Fisherman. And I love it. I love the Legendary Fisherman. He seems kind of unintimidating, but he gets the job done.
Yeah. I find it interesting. The English version of the card is censored. The American one is...
Oh, yes. They took away... Yeah, I should have mentioned that. Yeah, the original Japanese art does have a point, and in the American one, they removed the point and put a tennis ball or something at the end.
Yeah, which seems a little pointless.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still a nice card, even with that rather strange edit.
When you have it foiled out, it's just like the foiling is also done in an artistic way, where like his body is not really foiled. His eyes, his mouth, the things around his arms, the water, the backdrop, the whale's eyes, the whale's teeth are all foiled, but then the other parts aren't. Like, there's something that as soon as I saw this card as a kid, I was like, I love my dragons, but there is no one as badass as the legendary fisherman in this game.
The one thing I'll give credit for to this series is that I enjoy that they take these cards and they bring them back years later in other sets, and they've changed, they've altered them. Like, sometimes it's a story, like they continue and they grow, and it's you can see that with a lot of the cards. I can't really think of any on the top of my head right now, but it's pretty interesting, especially if you did continue to play and like the game and you watch these characters grow. It's very odd. Like, you see on the cards just different a small minor character like your legendary fisherman has moved on. It has become a legendary fisherman 2 card where his
don't ruin him for me.
His spear is changed into a bow gun.
And he's got 3 of them.
It changed into a bow gun, and then Fisherman 3. This card looks great, and it's now just changed into a spear gun, and there's more, they show more of the whale, but it's like, to see these cards evolve and grow over time is, especially for a card that you like, is a unique part of the card game.
So that's something that I'm going to say as well. I'm going to jump on that. This is the only card game I know where they reuse names and then put a number right after.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it.
The weirdest thing is when they put a number 2 next to the name of a card that never got a number 1. Which happened.
Really?
Yes,
they can't even keep track of the amount of bullshit they have.
Well, what ended up happening was they skipped the first one from the Japanese printing.
Oh, okay.
Right to the second one. So, like, our Legend of Blue Eye set is not identical to the Japanese release.
Oh, yeah. That's the...
So...
It's the same thing for Pokemon.
So here comes the part that I've been so excited to do this. We can both admit that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has... We said a lot of positive things about this game. We said all the cards that really meant a lot to us. We've talked about all the good things, all the great memories. Now it's time to really tear into it a little bit. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a majority of them have terrible names.
Yes.
The names are quite awful. A lot of them don't make sense. We had said that before. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to play a little bit of a name game, Gabe. I have 50 Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards listed here. Half of them are 100% genuine Yu-Gi-Oh! Card names. Half of them I made up. You're going to have to tell me whether or not the card that I read to you is real or fake, and we're going to see how well you do. Now, I will say this much, just to be fair. I am only naming cards from the first 3 sets. We're not even doing the first 6. We're just doing the first 3.
Okay.
Let's get it started. Ready?
Yeah.
Mega Thunderball.
No.
It's real.
Ah, son of a bitch.
Lacutus.
No. This isn't fucking Picard.
Okay, all right. Mr. Gambler.
Yeah.
No, it's fake. I made it.
Ah, shit. It's a little too simple.
Fire Kraken.
Yeah.
Yep, that is real.
Okay.
Whale in the sky.
Yes?
It's fake.
Damn it! It feels dumb enough to be real.
Kyoji Warrior.
That's too specific for you to make, so real.
It's fake.
Ah, shit!
UFO turtle.
Yes, real.
It is real.
Okay.
Mystic Tomato.
Real.
It is real. Giant turtle who feeds on flames.
Fake.
It's real.
What? Wait, but that's the full title of the card?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, God, it is. Oh, my God.
Wavebreaker Serpent.
Yes? Real?
It's fake, I made it up.
Ah, shit.
Metal Fish.
Real.
It is real.
It's very simple that I think, yeah.
The Disc Magician.
This sounds like a very real card.
It is real.
Okay.
Firegrass.
Now, can I ask, are these all monsters?
No.
Firegrass. I'm gonna go with fake because someone would probably make a drug reference and parents wouldn't be cool with that, so they were like, we gotta rename this to something else.
It's real.
Firegrass?
It is. Look it up.
Oh, okay. What? Why?
Fireball XL5.
XL5? No, fake.
Fireball. Yeah, it's fake. That's the name of a show starring a bunch of puppets from the 60s. Keep going. Wheeljack.
Real?
Fake. That's the name of a transformer.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Tower of Shadows.
Real.
Fake.
Ah.
Armored Starfish.
Real.
It is real. Succubus Knight.
Fake?
Real.
Damn it.
Slot Machine.
Fake.
It's real.
But just a name called Slot Machine?
It's
Nothing else to it?
Slot Machine.
Just Slot Machine? Because I know you mentioned it earlier, but I didn't think it was just going to be called Slot Machine.
It's just Slot Machine.
What the fuck is wrong with this card game? Alright, go on.
Double Barrel Dragon Panda.
Oh shit, now I remember this Slot Machine. Double barrel panda. No, it's fake. It's fake.
Emperor Knight number 2.
Real.
Fake.
I thought this was going to be that one that you said they didn't have a number 1 for.
Mystical Sheep number 2.
Oh god. Real.
It is real.
Okay, I was just looking for that one real. That was it.
Frenzied Panda.
Real.
It is real. Enchanting Mermaid.
Real.
It is real. Cat Rancher's Servant.
Fake.
It is fake. Monkey's Mission.
Real.
It's fake.
Feels like it'd be a trap or spell card.
King of the Knights.
Oh god. King of the Knights. That depends. Is it KNI, is it knights or knights as in the time?
It is Knights with a K.
Fake.
Damn it!
You had to think about it, so I was like, you know what?
Shit. Larvas.
Just larvas? Real?
It is real. M Warrior number 2.
Fake.
Real. M Warrior number 1.
Oh boy. Fake.
Real.
I don't... I feel like I hate this. I didn't study.
M Warrior number 3.
Fake.
It is fake.
Oh, thank God.
The Brothers Glam.
Fake.
It is fake. Poison Tomato.
Real.
It's fake.
Toll?
Toll.
Real.
It's real. Typhoon number 2.
Typhoon? Fake.
It is real.
What the Typhoon?
It's Typhoon number 2.
Not like Typhon?
Yeah, no, there's an E at the end.
Why?
I don't know.
Go on.
Jinzo number 7.
Fake as hell.
It's real.
What? You tell me
number 7.
there's 7 Jinzos?
Look him up. Look up Jinzo number 7.
No way. Oh
Do you see
yeah. Yeah. What the hell? Why is there a 7th? Alright, so there aren't 6 other Jinzos, but now that I look at Jinzo cards, apparently there's a whole line of Jinzos.
Jinzo number 6.
I don't believe you know.
It's fake.
Yeah.
Toon Mermaid Maiden.
Real.
It's fake.
Because I know there's a Toon Mermaid.
Because the word maid is in the word mermaid, which is something Yu-Gi-Oh would have done.
Yes, the English translation would have done something like that.
All right, the Tiger King number 2.
Fake.
It is fake.
Very relevant.
Starboy.
That feels like a modern day card for Yu-Gi-Oh if you ask me. I'm going to go with fake.
It's real.
Oh.
Insect Soldiers of the Sky.
Okay, no. Fake.
It's real.
Oh, God. So you could just...
A lot of these, I know. This is the game. This was the game. Garnitzia Elefantes.
Fake.
It's real.
Are you f***ing kidding me, man? This is so stupid.
Musician King.
Real?
It's real.
Thank God.
Mila Kunis.
Oh, totally fake.
Oh, you got it. Corpse Wrangler.
Okay, fake.
That is fake. Overgrown Shrubbery.
Fake.
All right.
Oh, thank God.
Turtle Tiger.
Fake.
It's real.
Oh my God.
Flying Hajiki number 1.
Fake.
It's fake.
Oh, thank God.
Skeleton Soul Sucker.
Fake.
It is fake. Blessed Jellyfish.
Real?
It's fake.
Damn it. I knew it. I should have... something about the word blessed being used just made me think, nah.
Well, I'm impressed.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I got 28. You got 28. Can you live with that?
I mean, it really is incredibly difficult to, if you don't remember these, it's just like,
There's so many to not remember, though. And
yes, yeah.
Also,
yeah.
you You could remember every single Yu-Gi-Oh card, and I could read some of the fake names I came up with, and you would second guess yourself. Next part of our podcast is our in memoriam, where we have the opportunity to say some parting words to the deceased. Gabe, do you have anything that you'd like to say before we wrap this up? A memory, something that you're grateful for that it's brought to your life.
The amount of memes, I guess, that Yu-Gi-Oh has spawned on the world. Pot of Greed, Joey.
What does Pot of Greed do again?
I have no clue. I can't remember. Something about drawing cards? I don't know. It's not important. I didn't know there were charades and all these scribbling done in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's a bit weird. Cut that joke.
That's staying in.
It has brought a lot of things, and it's also gave us some pretty damn fun games. Like, if I had to
talk about the video games.
Yeah. If I really had to pick any way to play Yu-Gi-Oh now, it's not in person. It's not like I would rather just stick to playing the Game Boy Advance games, the DS games. They're all really well done, and something about them is it's very hard for a card game, a video game card game, to age poorly because as long as the mechanics are good and it's whatever. But those games were really fun. They were really good. Like I don't know, something about the designs made them very fun to play, and
I'm gonna add to that. I'm gonna say that about 2 years ago, when I put a backlight into my old Game Boy Advance, I did also play one of the Game Boy Advance Yu-Gi-Oh games, and I agree with you. I ended up playing that for a couple of days, like for maybe 15 minutes before bed, for about a week. I did. I'd go to bed.
I did the same exact thing as you.
Yeah, I knew I'd have to go to work the next day, and I was just trying to kind of relax and start lulling myself to sleep. And I'd turn it on. It's got the backlight now, so I was really excited. And I'd play maybe about 3 games and start unlocking cards that then I could make new decks out of. I reset the whole game. I didn't want any of my previous stuff there. I think it was pretty well done. I enjoyed that game. Something that I loved about the video games, which made me buy almost all of them between 2002 2003, were the special cards they came with.
Yes.
You would go find my Yu-Gi-Oh binder. You would find pages dedicated to the 3 cards that you would get in every game. But I have never played the GameCube version because that was something that I had obtained fairly recently, secondhand, while adding to my GameCube collection. Because I, of course, only purchase items that came out before the year 2003, including my food. So that's not true. That's not true.
Got the part about the food.
God damn it! I would never get into modern day Yu-Gi-Oh. I think
and it's not the same thing, I guess, is the point.
It's not. There's so many.
We couldn't possibly get back into this game unless we went and we hunted down secondhand products and we played with its corpse. Like, what's that movie where they string up the corpse and they walk them around? Breakfast at Tiffany's or whatever. The one. And it would be like that. And that's just not. We can do that. We can enjoy the memories. We can bask in the memories.
Yeah,
we can enjoy what we enjoyed, and we can carry it with us into the adult life. We can carry it with us into our much older days because it meant something to us when we were younger. And that doesn't mean that we have to leech off of it now and be like, I can never let it go. I have to just hang on. It'll get better, I promise. You don't have to do it. And if there needs to be one therapeutic thing to this podcast, this being the first episode, I'll do so much that knocks this game down a peg. But in truth, looking back at my childhood, I am incredibly grateful that this thing existed. And I'm incredibly grateful, even more so when I look at the modern day and I see that many kids now, they leave school, they go home to their own home, and they jump on the computer and they play a video game on online or something, you know, your Fortnite or whatever it is, whatever the game is. I can't name another one besides that. It's the only one that my students talk
You're
about.
showing your boomer side.
But the truth is they'll do that, and I'm not knocking that. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I'm not saying anything negative toward that. But what I am saying is I'm grateful that this existed, because this is something that was a gateway to interacting with new people when I was younger. Something that I could share with friends. Something that really kind of gave a sense of community. It gave us a currency. It was, for a while, for a year or 2 years, it was a currency between my friends and I. It was a way to, you know, trade and barter for things. There was a sense of community, a sense of collecting, a sense of helping one another, but also you wanted to be competitive. You wanted to build the best thing you could. And you actually got excited when you put together a deck, and you couldn't wait to go see your friends, to go hang out with your friends, and to go present to them your new findings, your new collection, your new deck, and share in this moment, in this experience. That's why this thing means something to me. It might be why it means something to a lot of people, whether or not they can identify that or not. It's not the card game. It's not the cards. It's what the cards did for us in our experiences in our life. Just like, Gabe, your story about seeing the card at the bottom of the garbage, right?
You make it sound so, you know, romantic.
Your romantic moment where you were destined to find the blue eyes in the trash. Or when you used to play Yu-Gi-Oh cards with some friends in your concrete jungle in New York, where you used to play on cinder blocks. Listen, it wouldn't matter if it was a Yu-Gi-Oh card or if it was a card game of some other name, some other type, some other thing. Your memory is of you being tricky and sneaky and taking the sticker, the back of the sticker card, and laying it there and putting it up as your ante for the game. It's also very specific to a time period. There will never be another Yu-Gi-Oh! There will never be another memory where you pull a card from the coin machine that's actually a sticker, because those don't exist anymore. This game as it stood does not exist anymore. And that's okay. It's okay to let go of the desire to want more and instead appreciate what the thing had done. And that's why I would consider my Yu-Gi-Oh binder a scrapbook. Because when I look at it, I'm not looking so that I can say, this is the most ultra rare card and it's super powerful. And if I was to put this in a deck right now, I'd totally scrape you. You would have all your cards laying on the floor, and I would tell you that you're a third-rate duelist with a fourth-rate deck. It's not about that. It's about me opening up the binder and finding a Millennium Shield that is bent right down the middle, has all four edges boxed, and remembering that it was a card given to me on the first day that I had ever met one of my best friends in the whole world. That's what it is.
Holy shit.
So, what?
Wait, Millennium Shield?
That wasn't you.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, wait
You were not the best friend I'm
Okay.
talking about.
I was going to say, I was like, wait a second. I have a Millennium Shield. That card's awesome.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a thing that by the time you and I met back in 2003, I was already starting to reach the end of my obsession with it. I was moving into Magic the Gathering a bit. That is why the game is significant to me. I want the theme or the overall therapeutic experience of listening to the Memory Mortuary. If I can help one person realize that they should stop buying fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Packs, then really, I think I've done my job. Because what I really want to do is I want people who are feeling this sense of nostalgia, and it's bringing them to go and be like, oh, I'm going to try to, get back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Or I'm going to try to do this thing. Or like they're blowing all their money and they're not really getting that spark again, and they're not really getting that joy again, and they're just trying to recapture that moment. The therapeutic thing I want to come from this is that everyone should be able to take something that they know and they love and that they remember and be able to say, hey, guess what? I can keep my collection if I'd like to. I can narrow my collection, which I prefer to do, where I narrow it down to the things that I find most important. So to me, it's those first 6 sets. And I don't need a full play set copy. I don't need, all the decks that I had when I was growing up or whatever. I just need to be able to open that card-based scrapbook. And I hope that other people are able to kind of start to feel maybe the same way, where they can say, you know what, let's appreciate what we had. There's this weird sliver of time for late millennials where we've got these memories, we've got these things that make us who we are. And this podcast is going to this podcast is going to celebrate that. And if you can relate to some of the memories that we're sharing with you, then that is great. I don't know if there's a comment section on whatever these things are. I don't know how podcasts work. I'm just outsourcing this. Someone else is going to figure this out. But if there are ways for you to add a comment that's nice and kind and polite, share your memory. Let's celebrate the weird sliver of culture that we all have in common. And if you don't have something in common with this episode, then maybe in our next episode or in another episode, you'll be so many of these that you can walk through the graveyard. You'll be able to look at the gravestones that we have listed, and you can read the epitaphs, and you can find something where you can share a memory with us and vice versa. That's why when I ask the final question of this episode of the podcast, was it murdered or is it natural causes? Which one do you think it is?
Natural causes.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to say that this thing, for me, lived a short, brief life, and what it did within that time frame was help a young kid who was into dragons and monsters and Star Wars start to befriend other people and bridge communities, in a sense. It did something, and it lived a life of meaning and purpose, and it will forever be in my memories. I imagine it will always be in your memories, wherever that trash bag may be. And I know now that it will also remain within our memory mortuary.
Thank you for visiting the Memory Mortuary. Our morticians are Andreas Marangos, Esquire, and Just Gabe. Our intro music was composed and performed by Christian Decknatel. Our narrator, cover illustrator, and social media manager is Emily Barksdale. That's me. You can follow us on Instagram at Memory Mortuary. Join us next week as we perform another autopsy here at the Memory Mortuary. We're sorry for your loss.